What if I told you that the most ordinary looking coin in your pocket, a simple US dime from 1980, could actually be worth thousands of dollars? You'd probably laugh, maybe even dismiss it as impossible. After all, we've all seen those dimes, small, light, and often tarnished by years of circulation. Yet, hidden among them are rare treasures, and one such example is the 1980 PUS 1 dime. This unassuming little coin has been quietly making waves among collectors, thanks to rare minting errors, unusual planchets, and striking anomalies that transform it from pocket change into a numismatic legend. To understand why this dime is so special, you have to journey back to the year it was struck. It was 1980, a year of economic uncertainty and rising inflation in the United States. The Philadelphia Mint was working around the clock to churn out millions of dimes to meet demand. The Roosevelt dime design, in use since 1946, was still going strong, featuring Franklin D. Roosevelt's profile on the obverse, and a torch flanked by an olive branch and oak branch on the reverse, symbols of liberty, peace, and strength. In 1980 alone, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 635 million dimes. With such massive output, it's no surprise that mistakes sometimes slipped through. In fact, it's those very mistakes that created the highly coveted error coins collectors hunt for today. Among the most sought after of these errors is the double die obverse. This occurs when the die, the metal stamp used to strike the design onto the blank planchet, is misaligned during preparation, resulting in a faint but unmistakable doubling of the inscriptions. On the 1980 P dime, collectors have found examples where the word liberty and the motto "In God We Trust" appear doubled, almost ghost-like, a fascinating reminder of the mechanical imperfection behind the mint's relentless precision. Another error that makes this coin extraordinary is the off-metal strike. During production, it's possible that a blank intended for another denomination, say, a penny or even a foreign coin, was fed into the press by mistake. When struck with the dime design, it creates a lighter, thinner, or otherwise unusual piece that stands out to anyone who knows what to look for. Perhaps the most intriguing of all, though, are the transitional errors. In certain rare cases, leftover planchets from previous years, made of slightly different metal compositions, found their way into the presses. For instance, a dime intended to be struck on a clad copper-nickel planchet might instead be struck on a silver planchet, resulting in a heavier, shinier coin with a distinct ring when dropped. These transitional anomalies are extremely rare and extremely valuable. Stories of collectors stumbling upon these treasures add an irresistible layer of romance to the hunt. There's the tale of a New Jersey coin dealer who, in 2011, was sorting through a bag of circulated dimes when he noticed something odd about a 1980p piece. It felt heavier and rang differently when tapped against a tabletop. After sending it to a grading service, it was confirmed to have been struck on an incorrect planchet, a one-in-a-million mistake worth thousands. Another well-known story comes from a young collector who inherited his grandfather's coffee can full of loose change and spent a winter afternoon combing through it. His sharp eyes spotted the subtle doubling on the motto of a 1980 P dime, a double die obverse, which later sold at auction for more than the price of a used car. What makes these coins so captivating is not just their monetary value, but also the stories they tell about the human side of minting. Every error is a little window into the history of the U.S. Mint, a place where speed, volume, and the limitations of machinery sometimes allow tiny mistakes to slip past. To seasoned numismatists, these mistakes are treasures, each one unique, each one an artifact of chance. Auction records bear this out. Over the past decade, rare 1980 P dimes featuring errors like the double die obverse, off-metal strikes, and transitional planchet anomalies have fetched impressive sums at public sales. One especially pristine double die example sold for over $9,000 at auction, while an off-metal error specimen brought a staggering $15,000 in a heated bidding war. Transitional error dimes and top grades have seen even higher prices, with some selling for amounts that would make anyone rethink how they view the change in their pocket. Even circulated examples, if they exhibit clear and dramatic errors, can command thousands of dollars. The key is condition and clarity of the mistake. Coins that are uncirculated or mint state, those that show no signs of wear, are worth even more. For everyday viewers who might not consider themselves collectors, the takeaway is clear. Don't ignore your change. Don't dismiss that jar of coins in the kitchen or the handful of dimes in your car's cup holder. Even now, over 4 decades after the 1980 P dime was minted, these hidden gems are still out there, quietly waiting to be discovered by someone with a curious eye and a little patience. If you're serious about checking, start by investing in a good magnifying glass and a scale that can measure down to 1/10 of a gram. Look closely at every detail of your dimes from 1980. The lettering, the weight, the color, the way it rings when dropped. Anything unusual could be the telltale sign of a rare and valuable error. For seasoned collectors, the 1980 P dime remains a fascinating challenge. The idea that something so seemingly mundane could hold such value perfectly embodies the thrill of numismatics. The blend of history, human error, and chance that can turn a simple coin into a prized treasure. The next time you're handed change at the grocery store, or when you're cleaning out an old drawer and come across a pile of dimes, pause for just a moment. Take a closer look at those coins, especially the ones from 1980. Because you never know. In that unassuming little circle of copper and nickel, you might just find a piece of history worth more than you ever imagined. Keep your eyes sharp, your mind curious, and your heart ready for the joy of discovery. There's a whole world of hidden stories waiting in the coins we so often overlook. And who knows? The next rare 1980 P dime to make headlines might just be sitting in your pocket right now. What if I told you that the dime sitting in your pocket right now could actually be worth thousands of dollars? Sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? Yet, for collectors and sharp-eyed hobbyists, the 1981 PUS 1 dime has become a symbol of just how surprising and valuable even the smallest pieces of change can truly be. Hidden among the millions of dimes minted that year are a handful of rare treasures, born from minting errors, struck on unusual planchets, or created through transitional anomalies, mistakes that have turned ordinary coins into coveted collectibles. And today, we're going to uncover the fascinating story behind one of America's most overlooked yet extraordinary coins. The year was 1981. The country was emerging from a turbulent decade, facing economic challenges, high inflation, and uncertainty about the future. Yet, the Philadelphia Mint was operating at full throttle, producing billions of coins to keep the economy moving. Among them were more than 676 million Roosevelt dimes, featuring the same design Americans had known for decades, Franklin D. Roosevelt's dignified profile on the obverse, and on the reverse, the torch of liberty flanked by olive and oak branches, symbolizing peace and strength. With such a staggering production run, you'd expect every dime to look exactly the same. But as any seasoned numismatist will tell you, perfection is impossible when you're striking millions of coins a day. And that's where the magic and the value begins. One of the most prized varieties of the 1981 P dime is the double die obverse. This fascinating error happens when the die, the metal stamp that impresses the design onto the blank planchet, is misaligned during the hubbing process, creating subtle yet noticeable doubling on the inscriptions or details. On some 1981 P dimes, the letters of liberty or the motto, "In God We Trust," appear faintly doubled, a ghost-like echo of the original strike. It's not always easy to spot with the naked eye, but under magnification, it's unmistakable and highly desirable. Coins with strong doubling, especially those in mint condition, have fetched thousands at auction, their rarity and mystery captivating collectors. But doubling isn't the only anomaly to watch for on this unassuming little dime. During the relentless production pace at the Philadelphia Mint, it was not unheard of for the wrong planchets, the blank metal discs used for striking coins, to accidentally find their way into the presses. For example, a blank intended for a penny or even a foreign coin could end up struck with the dime design, resulting in a coin that looks noticeably off. These off-metal errors can manifest as dimes that are lighter, smaller, or oddly colored compared to their standard counterparts. They're rare, yes, but not impossible to find, and they've been known to sell for remarkable sums, sometimes even in the 5-figure range. Even more rare are transitional errors, coins struck on planchets left over from previous compositions. While the Roosevelt dime had long since transitioned to the clad copper-nickel composition by 1981, it's not entirely impossible for a silver planchet or other unusual blank to slip through. Imagine finding a dime from 1981 that weighs slightly more, rings like a bell, and gleams with the soft glow of silver. To a collector, that's not just pocket change, that's history. And history is exactly what keeps collectors coming back to coins like the 1981 P dime. There's the story of a New York collector who, in 2014, picked up a handful of change at a flea market. One dime caught his eye. The motto on the obverse seemed slightly off. Closer inspection revealed a strong double-die obverse. When he eventually sold it through a major auction house, the final hammer price was over $4,500. Another collector in Florida discovered a dime that felt strangely light. Testing confirmed it was struck on a foreign planchet, a remarkable error that earned him nearly $7,000 when he sold it. Auction records tell the tale of just how much value these anomalies can hold. High-grade examples of a 1981 P dime with pronounced doubling have sold for between $3,000 and $6,000. Off-metal errors have sold for even more, depending on the nature of the planchet and the clarity of the strike. And transitional errors, the rarest of the rare, have at times exceeded $10,000. What makes these stories so compelling is that they can happen to anyone. You don't need to be a professional numismatist or a longtime collector. You just need curiosity, a little patience, and a willingness to look closer at what most people overlook. There's a sort of nostalgia in that, isn't there? A sense that hidden treasures can still be found, waiting quietly in jars of change, at the bottom of drawers, or in the handful of coins you get back from the corner store. For seasoned collectors, the 1981 P dime offers an irresistible challenge, an opportunity to add a rare and unusual piece to their collection, a conversation starter steeped in history and error alike. For casual viewers and everyday hobbyists, it's a reminder of the value that can lie hidden in even the smallest, most ordinary objects. What should you do if you want to start hunting for one of these rare dimes? First, gather up your old change, especially dimes minted in 1981 with a P mint mark for Philadelphia. Invest in a good magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. You'll need it to spot subtle doubling or other abnormalities. A precision scale can help you detect off-metal planchets by measuring the weight of your coins to the 1/10 of a gram. And most importantly, familiarize yourself with what these errors look like. There are plenty of online resources and collector forums where you can find reference images and expert advice. If you think you found something unusual, consider submitting it to a reputable grading service for authentication and encapsulation. Not only does this protect the coin, but it also makes it much easier to sell at auction or to another collector. The Roosevelt dime has been in circulation for over 75 years, and yet it continues to surprise and delight collectors with its hidden stories and valuable secrets. The 1981 P dime is a shining example of how even the smallest details, a faint doubling, an unusual ring, a weight that feels just a little off, can transform an everyday coin into a rare treasure. The next time you're handed change at a store, take a moment before you drop it in your pocket. Look at your dimes. Pay attention to the dates, the mint marks, the details, and the lettering. Because you never know, you could be holding a tiny piece of American history, one that carries not just a monetary value, but also the thrill of discovery and a connection to the imperfect, fascinating world of minting. Keep searching, keep learning, and keep your eyes open. The coins you overlook today might just be the hidden gems of tomorrow. And who knows, the next 1981 P dime to make headlines could very well be in your hands already. Imagine holding a dime so ordinary, you almost don't look at it before dropping it into your pocket or a vending machine. But what if that dime, that 1996 PUS 1 dime, hiding in plain sight, was actually worth thousands of dollars? That's the magic and mystery of coin collecting. Sometimes, it's the coins we overlook that hold the greatest secrets. Rare minting errors, unusual planchets, or transitional anomalies can transform a humble 10-cent piece into a valuable and sought-after treasure. Tonight, we're about to uncover the surprising history, hidden value, and unforgettable stories behind the 1996 P dime, a coin you might already have without even knowing what it's worth. The year was 1996, a milestone for the Roosevelt dime series. This year marked the 50th anniversary of the design, first introduced in 1946 to honor the beloved president whose leadership guided the nation through the Great Depression and World War II. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 1.4 billion dimes that year, an astronomical number meant to keep up with America's bustling economy. On the surface, each coin was identical. Roosevelt's strong, stoic profile on the obverse, the torch of liberty flanked by oak and olive branches on the reverse. But within that massive production, a few anomalies slip through. For collectors, those anomalies are the stuff of dreams. One of the most famous errors tied to the 1996 P dime is the double die obverse. This fascinating mistake happens during the die creation process when the hub impresses the design onto the die twice, but slightly misaligned. When that flawed die is used to strike coins, it leaves behind telltale doubling on the letters and numbers. On some 1996 P dimes, close inspection reveals doubling on the word liberty, the motto "In God We Trust," and even the date itself. Under a magnifying glass, the letters look like faint shadows echoing behind the originals. It's subtle enough that most people would never notice, but distinct enough to make collectors' hearts race. Stories from collectors bring these rare finds to life. There's the case of a Pennsylvania schoolteacher who, while teaching her students about money, decided to examine a jar of change more closely. One 1996, P dime looked a little different. The lettering caught the light in an odd way. After sending it to a professional grader, she discovered it was a clear double die obverse in uncirculated condition. Months later, it sold at auction for just over $4,000, a life-changing windfall for a simple dime plucked from pocket change. But doubling isn't the only error that makes the 1996 P dime so intriguing. Sometimes, mistakes happen with the blank metal discs, known as planchets, before they even reach the press. The Philadelphia Mint was producing coins at breakneck pace that year, and in the chaos, it wasn't unheard of for the wrong planchet to end up in the wrong press. That means a dime design could accidentally be struck on a planchet intended for a penny, a foreign coin, or even a blank mint for another denomination altogether. These off-metal errors create dimes that look slightly too light, too dark, or the wrong size. Tiny, tangible mistakes in the mint's otherwise precise process. One 1996 P dime discovered in New York weighed less than normal because it had been struck on a penny planchet. At auction, it sold for nearly $6,500, a jaw-dropping result for a coin many would have dismissed as defective. There's also the matter of transitional errors, perhaps the rarest of all. Transitional errors happen when leftover planchets from an earlier composition accidentally get used after the official switch. For the dime, this has happened in other years when silver planchets were mixed in long after the switch to clad copper nickel. While extremely rare in 1996, there are rumors among collectors of dimes that ring with a high, pure tone of silver despite their clad date. Authenticating such a coin would be a numismatic coup, and in pristine condition, such an error could command 5 figures at auction. The numismatic history of the 1996 P dime is fascinating for another reason as well. That year also saw the release of a special West Point mint dime, bearing a W mint mark, given away in uncirculated sets to commemorate Roosevelt's legacy. While the West Point dimes are well known among collectors, they have sometimes overshadowed the Philadelphia mint coins, leading to a sort of underdog status for the 1996 P. And it's precisely that, being overlooked, that has allowed some of the rarest 1996 P errors to stay hidden in circulation for decades. Auction records paint a dramatic picture of just how much these errors can be worth. High-grade 1996 P double die obverse have sold for between $2,000 and $5,000, depending on the clarity of the doubling and the condition of the coin. Off-metal errors, especially those struck on penny planchets, have gone for even more, with one known example bringing in nearly $7,000. And while transitional errors from 1996 remain largely theoretical, other silver transitional errors from nearby years have sold for upwards of $12,000, fueling speculation that a 1996 example might still be out there, waiting to be discovered. For collectors, the thrill is in the hunt. One retired veteran from Ohio shared his story of sorting through his late father's coffee cans of change, only to find a gleaming 1996 P dime with unusual doubling on the motto. For him, the value was more than just monetary. It was a connection to his father's quiet hobby and a testament to the enduring allure of coin collecting. And that's what makes this story resonate, not just with seasoned numismatists, but with everyday viewers too. It's a reminder that history, art, and even a little bit of luck can converge in the most ordinary of objects. That dime jingling in your pocket, tossed on your dresser, or hiding in a change jar could carry a story, a mistake, a mystery that turns it into a treasure Oh, what should you do if you want to uncover one of these hidden gems? Start simple. Grab your loose change, especially dimes dated 1996 with a P mint mark for Philadelphia. Use a jeweler's loupe or a good magnifying glass and check the details of the lettering and the date. Look for those subtle shadows and doubling. Weigh any dimes that seem oddly light or heavy. You might just have an off-metal planchet. And if something seems truly unusual, don't be afraid to send it to a professional grading service for authentication. The Roosevelt dime has been a familiar fixture in American life for more than 75 years. But it's stories like these that keep it exciting, stories of errors and anomalies, of overlooked coins that turn into unforgettable finds. The next time you're handed change at the store. Pause before you tuck it away. Examine your dimes. Look for the date, the mint mark, the tiniest imperfections. Because hidden in that handful of coins could be your own little piece of history. A simple dime worth thousands and a story worth telling. Check your pockets, your drawers, and your jars. Because you never know, you just might be holding a rare 1996 P dime waiting to reveal its secret to you.